everybody. Justin Worden, you're watching What's New in Electronics. It is day one of SMTA International. We are here in Rosemont, Illinois. I got my good friend Tom Forsythe of Kyzen. Tom, how are you?
Doing well. Good to see you.
Tom, I want to talk about you, but we're not going to do that.
That's right.
In Tom fashion, we're going to keep it about Kyzen.
Keep it about Kyzen.
We're going to have some fun, but the theme hasn't changed. You and I get to talk a lot, but process control, it seems like we got it figured out, but it just becomes more and more important.
Well, the world we live in keeps getting more challenging, right? I mean, we introduced the PCS concept in the first tools 25 years ago. Mm-hmm. Okay, now they're very different critters now. Once you look under the hood, they're very different, but they're trying to do the same job and what's interesting about it is more of the data that we've been capturing all those years is more interesting to people. Like at one point when we were sorting this out along the way, we realized we were tracking 45 some odd variables along the way to make everything work. But most of those were just under the hood things, they weren't on a display anywhere. Well, that's what's changed over the years, making that data more available, more accessible to the user. And of course, the other thing that's really changed over the years is we're well past the days of simply trying to replace a piece of paper and a pencil hanging on a nail next to the machine, right? People want to be able to access that real-time data wherever they are, at their desk, maybe even on their phone perhaps, and they want to be able to go back and say, well gosh, we've got a customer inquiry about some parts that were manufactured on Tuesday last August in the afternoon. What kind of data do we have? Well, now that data can be pulled up in seconds to look at exactly what the process conditions were during that time window. And if you're trying to find a root cause of some sort of dilemma, well, the first part of that is ruling out the things that didn't cause it.
Well, that's an interesting point, because I think I've been looking at this wrong for quite a while. When I hear process control, I'm thinking of the process as you're operating, but
Correct.
I think about the traceability part going back.
Well, and because it's a new new's the wrong word, I guess. It's a need that's emerged over the years. In the very beginning, what your impression is exactly what we were trying to do. We're just trying to make this process that's kind of hard to do well manually, do it well automatically. That was the goal, and we achieved that. Over the years, as we tweaked the software and made it better and got it more sophisticated and more modern, people started asking us interesting questions, and they're like, well, what about that data? How do I get to that? And we're like, all right, well, it's in there. All right, well, we hadn't thought about that before. All right, we'll work on that. So we figure that out and we sort it out, and that's how the software continues to evolve. I'm not sure that we're tracking any different variables than we did 20 years ago, to be honest, but we're presenting that data in a more user accessible way, and particularly this idea of coming back and recovering it. Like, what happened back in February?
Well, I think
imagine going back and looking for pieces of paper that were in some folder, in some file cabinet someplace, and finding the one from Valentine's Day. I mean, torture, all right? An hour, if you're lucky.
Yeah,
instead of tap and you're done.
Well, that's a good point. That's kind of what I was getting at right before you used the paper analogy, but even if the data isn't being used, because let's be honest, people like you and I, we enjoy data.
That's right.
I like looking
Absolutely.
at data. I consider myself a little bit of maybe not hero nerd, but I'm a data nerd in a way.
Absolutely.
But some of the stuff they ask for, they're never going to use. But it's that comfort and that security that they can.
But every now and then they do need it. And the fact that it's being captured, it's being stored and maintained is a real value adder for people, because the one day they need it, it's usually very important. And the fact that they can get to it very rapidly is a really big value add.
Well, and a point to think about, just like you're adding value to your customer is trying to add value to their customer.
Absolutely.
And they're trying to win new business.
They're trying to answer inquiries or prove some performance capability, and they want to do it with as easily as possible, right? I mean, if you have to grind through a bunch of paperwork for a week, okay, you do it. But if you can get it done in an afternoon by accessing digital data and pulling it into your presentation, well, that's a better choice. And we're trying to enable that other choice.
And I've talked about this with some of your colleagues at Kyzen. When you talk about the Kyzen PCS, yes, it's an upsell. Yes, it improves the process. Sometimes they put their guard up, like, hey, I don't want to pay more. You're just upselling me into something extra. We understand what it does. But you're not. What you're doing is you're giving them that peace of mind, because it's a value add to their customer. So you're helping them invest in their business so that they can go earn that new business and have it for their customer.
And that's the thing. And over the years, like I say, we've been doing this opportunity for a long time. over the years, the more sophisticated the customer, the more they've realized, no, this isn't an extra. This is every day. This is our life. This is what we do, and they just put it on the print when they order a new machine or they move a machine or they do something. It's like, oh yeah, we need one of those, because that's how they meet their ISO standards. That's how they meet their quality standards, and how they do it in a super economical way. Because now you don't need a technician to be monitoring that and taking some readings and then manually adding some material, even if it's just a little pump and throwing some switches. The fact that it just does it trouble-free, truly automatically, 24/7, never takes a Monday off, the math works. And then, of course, when you come back to the process itself, the CPK numbers are out of sight, whereas if you do a real study on manual, well, the CPK numbers are not nearly as impressive. And so while not everyone's up to that level of sophistication, for those that are, it's a pretty clear decision. But of course, process control needs to be on a good machine that works, because if there's a terrible machine or there's a machine with a hole in the bottom, then the process control system can't maintain it properly. And it needs a great product that's going to work and run just as trouble-free as the conditions are driving, right? So it's that whole system approach. Quality piece of hardware, good process control on it, operating a great cleaning product that can answer the mail, over the course of weeks and months rather than hours or days. It's that whole system approach that makes the cleaning process become much, much less of a headache for the engineers, much more dependable and reliable, and so that very scarce engineer bandwidth can be applied to other problems that haven't been sorted out.
Tom, you and I have had the opportunity to sit down and chat multiple times, and it always amazes me how we can always find something new to talk about.
But that's the key to this thing, right? Is that here we are at the show. Everyone here is as I like to say, this collective group here, as well as others that aren't here. Well, we're inventing tomorrow.
Yep.
Tomorrow's gizmo, tomorrow's cool thing that's going to be the hot seller that everybody's going to want under their Christmas tree or in their pocket, is getting dreamed up by the folks here, and we find that inspiration. You hear something new. Oh wow, okay. How can we help that? What can we do? Do we need to update a product? Do we need to update one of these control systems? What do we need to do to help enable that new invention? Because we're a tiny piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Cleaning is like way down in the cheap seats. Okay, we're or up in the cheap seats, I guess. And
if they're even doing it.
If they're even doing it.
Yeah.
So, but if we could add value, that's why people will do it, and that's what we try to do. So it's that holistic approach of great product in a good tool that comes from someone else, right? We don't make the cleaning tools, but there are many good offerings on the market in that space.
Well, I think now is a better time than any to wrap up this conversation and remind people what Kyzen means.
Well, Kyzen means continuous improvement, and it's from the Japanese, the Toyota way, if you will. And the other thing, it's very apropos because cleaning materials business is we are a reactive technology. We've got all these solder folks, we've got all these designers, and they're inventing new things tomorrow, and they are not giving cleaning 1 second of thought. If it actually works great, we're all just lucky. They are constantly raising the bar for us, unintentionally, but it's the reality, which means that we're constantly doing R&D, constantly trying to change, continuously improve our products, because the bar keeps getting higher because of the new soldering materials, because of the new designs, the lower standoffs, the tighter density. That makes we are required to up our game or we'll be left behind. So it's very apropos that it is our name, because it's our life.
Well, we're going to wrap it up with that. Up your game or you'll be left behind. Tom, let's do it again soon.
Good to see you again. Bye-bye.